part of what you're selling there. It's this whole intangibility. So if you're selling wedding services, for example, I know you all want to be wedding planners, then that, you're saying to people, oh, I do a great job. Well, people don't know that. So what you got to do is, to overcome intangibility, you've got to give them cues and clues of quality. Now, then that can be all kinds of things. I mean, for one thing, having your staff in uniforms. That's a cue of quality, because it gives a certain look to things, and people then have more faith in it. A number of times I've gone to conventions where they have meet and greet at the airport. Well, if the people aren't in a certain uniform, red shirts or whatever, you don't know who they are. I mean, so it's hard to sell it. So, if you've got a nice restaurant, you've got extra fine service. Well, you want to set the table differently. You want a higher quality of your linen, your glassware, all that kind of stuff. These are all cues and clues of quality that people respond to. Any branding is that's an intangible made tangible. I'm staying at the Seaview Hotel while my house was damaged pretty heavily during the storm, and we can't go back there. So I'm staying at the Seaview, and the general manager of the Seaview used to work for Ritz-Carlton. Well, Ritz-Carlton has got all these different things that they do. For example, did you know if you go to Ritz-Carlton, if you ask an associate, I think that's what they call themselves, where something is in the hotel, they're not allowed to tell you. They must walk you there. Well, that's pretty cool. I was at a Ritz-Carlton a number of years ago. I had the best time. I knew where everything was. I've been there so many times. But I would find people, and I would test them. Like, somebody looked really busy, and I'd ask them where something is. And maybe they would immediately walk me to it, or they'd give me to somebody who could. Just really unbelievable places. At Ritz-Carlton, when we pulled up, for the very first time we went there, we pulled up there, Jeannie and I, and I don't know how they did this, but when we pulled up to the front of the hotel, it was the Amelia Island Plantation, Ritz-Carlton down in North Florida. We pulled up there, and the guy comes to the car door and opens it up and says, "Mr. and Mrs. Quain, we're glad to see you." Now, we'd never been there before. I mean, I still don't know how they did that, by the way. It's like a magic trick. So that's cues and clues. So intangibility, if you bought a product, like if you buy a can of corn or a television or something like that, I mean, you can, like let's just say TV, you can press the knobs, and you're going to watch it playing at the store. You're going to get to try it out. Well, you can't do that with service. So that's the thing that makes it difficult for us to sell services. Perishability. What we don't sell today, we can't sell tomorrow. A hotel room that goes empty today, we can't sell tomorrow. That's perishability. And so, if you have a restaurant, let's say, with 100 seats in it, well, and let's say you're open from 5 o'clock till 11 o'clock to serve food. Everybody wants to eat between 7 and 8. But you've got these 200, what do we say, 100 seats? You've got these 100 seats sitting there. So that's perishability. At 5 o'clock, if your restaurant's not full, let's say you only have 10 seats taken up at 5 o'clock, that's perishability. You can't sell those same seats again at 7 because somebody else is sitting in them. So what we want to do is what's called demand management. Demand management. We want to come up with programs that get people to change their demand patterns. Now we know about this with restaurants with early bird specials, getting people to come in and use your restaurant at a time when they normally wouldn't have done that. But there's also late night things. There's also using your reservation line. So people call for a reservation, and they want a reservation at 7 o'clock, and you're full at 7 o'clock. Training your people to then sell them an 8 o'clock seat. If you have to give something away to do it, it's still perishability. Same thing with hotels. A lot of times what happens in hotels, especially a convention property, let's say we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right, let's say we have a 300-room property, and Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, our hotel is full. We have 300 rooms every night, and we got a big checkout Wednesday morning. And let's say the next big group isn't coming in till Thursday. You know, we get 300, 300, and 300. Well, now we've got Wednesday, it's just sitting there empty. In other words, if we got a big group coming in on Thursday, and a big group checking out Wednesday morning from a Tuesday night stay, then you got Wednesday that's wide open. And so what we're going to do is let's say this is 2 groups here. We're going to try to do some things that are going to get these groups to move. So we might say to, and this is, of course, this is booked pretty well in advance. You can't do this the week of. But let's say that this group right here, we say to them, hey, listen, I'll tell you what we'll do. If you're willing to do a move-in on Wednesday, or at least do maybe some board meetings or something like that, that may give us 100 rooms here or something like that. You know, we'll do we'll host a free cocktail party, whatever for you, something like that. We'll change your comp ratios, which is how many free room nights you get for each room night that's occupied. So you know, you're trying to move this demand. Maybe you run a golf tournament for them or something like that, but whatever. This is called demand management, and this is how we overcome the problem of perishability in our hotels and our restaurants. I'll do this when I'm out on the road giving talks, for example. Like a group may have me come in. I did this with a group called ISIS, the International Special Events Society. They had me coming in doing a full day seminar, you know, 9 till 5, but I was going to be there. I had to come in the day ahead of time because you can't try to arrive that morning. I forget what it was, but it was pretty far away from my house. So I come in the day ahead of time, and then I couldn't get out right away the next day. I wanted to stay for a little bit of the conference anyway. So what I did was I put the word out to people attending the conference that I got a suite, and I charged, I mean, whatever it was per hour, and I put the word out that, hey, you can book me for a minimum of 2 hours, and bring me your business or your brochures and that kind of stuff. I'll give you a 2-hour consulting job there. And I gave them a pretty good rate. And so what I was able to do was I was able to, you know, I was selling a service, consulting, but it's demand management. I was able to, you know, make my trip more effective because I was already going to be gone from my house for 3 days anyway, but I was going to get one fee. This way I picked up a bunch of smaller fees to go along with it, and it worked out pretty well. So that's intangibility, that's perishability. Now, customer-server interaction. This is a big thing in services too, because in services, relatively low-level employees interact directly with the customers. Now, for example, if you went to the store and you bought a can of Green Giant corn, would you expect to be able to talk to the giant? Or niblet? You know, so they're not there. But we have, like I'm staying at the Seaview last night, which, by the way, what a great place to stay. Professor Scales was saying that, because they gave the Stockton faculty a really good rate if you were displaced from by the storm. And so Professor Scales, his home made out fine, but he's actually thinking about going and staying over there because the rate's so good and the service is so nice. But anyway, I think he's serious. I don't blame him. But I shouldn't have that on video because it might get Professor Scales in trouble. Oh, wow. He can stand it. He's got tenure. But, you know, last night I'm over there, and we had this waitress who was so fantastic. She was just so great. She made us feel comfortable. We came in, we're all, you know, discombobulated from the, you know, we've just been over the house where we're throwing stuff out of our house into the backyard because it was, it was flooded, stuff like that. And we lost the bottom floor of the house. But, so, all this craziness, and this person just made us feel so good. But so did the busboy. The busboy comes over. Here's people who are obviously trained. Well, see, we're dealing with relatively low-level employees there. I mean, we're not talking about the general manager, although I did have drinks with the general manager last night. But nonetheless, relatively low-level people here. And what we have to do is we have to give our people the ability to solve problems for the guests. And that, did we run out of battery?
No.
Oh, we just got an email?
Yeah.
Okay. We're using iPad technology here. This is great. Thank you, Steve Jobs, wherever you are. But anyway, so we have to give these people a budget and the ability to solve problems, because they have all kinds of interactions with the guests. Ritz-Carlton is famous for that, just famous for that, the things that they do. That time I was telling you about when we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, we had a banquet on the lawn. It was really nice. And then afterwards, a group of us on the bar. And I had been wearing a sweater, I forget what color sweater it was, but, and we're packing the next day, and I can't find my sweater. And the phone rings in the room, and my wife picks it up, and somebody said, "Oh, Dr. Quain left his sweater in the bar last night." Because what happened, I took it off when we came inside, and set it on the chair, and I'd forgotten it. Now, here's the thing. This place, it's a big hotel. How did they know it was my sweater? What I'm telling you is, they pay so much attention there to their guests that they know what you're wearing. So they knew it was my sweater. I mean, it didn't have my name sewn into it. It wasn't a sweater I took to camp. But it's amazing. So we want to give our people the ability to make changes, that kind of stuff, to help people out. Last night I'm going to Stockton, and my daughter was with us. We didn't expect to have, so I needed a bigger room. So I called up the front desk. Now we have two of our students working there, Tara and Kristen, and got there. It was all taken care of. They didn't have to. Obviously that the hotel is set up so that people can make those kinds of changes. So that customer server interaction, that's important. Giving your servers, their service people, the ability to make decisions about how to take care of the guests without them having to worry about, oh, this is going to cost the hotel a little money or whatever. Now, obviously you want to budget for that and you want to monitor it, but that kind of stuff makes a huge, huge difference. And of course, training of your staff, making your staff in uniforms identifiable in a certain way. All that goes into this customer server interaction. And by the way, this also helps with intangibility, because it gives your place more of a brand, more of a look, that kind of stuff. So this is something that you really have to work on in your properties. It makes a huge difference, especially in repeat business. If people know they can get their problems solved without having to go to a manager or something like that. Now, there's some things obviously you don't want your servers to be able to give away all kinds of stuff, but this can go a long way. And then finally, this last thing is customization, standardization. This is so important. One of the great things about services are that services can be customized any way people want. But we're going to have standardization means we're going to maintain certain standards because our guests don't know all the time what can be done. When I go to a restaurant, I like to keep a couple dollars in my top pocket because it's amazing what you can get for a couple dollars. Like, I love duck, but I hate duck with the bone in. And so if I see duck on the menu, a lot of times I'll ask the waitron if I can get the duck boneless. I say, well, I take the $2 out, or if it's duck, I'd probably give them $5. And I'd say, listen, would you tell the cook or the chef that I'd like to have this boneless? Now I know that the waitron never takes that money back to the chef. She just puts it in her pocket there, and she goes back there and says, there's some nutcase out there. He's going to go crazy if we don't bone the duck. Can you help me out? So I know that happens, but that's like ribs. I love ribs, but I hate